I, I'm David Marchino. I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised. So I have been a teaching assistant with Jamie Lee. I started in 2016 and I'm still doing it. So yeah, I've done it every year since.
So I'm Ian McCormack. I am a rising senior, and I did the KWH Young Writers Workshop internship last year in 2019.
My name is Iwei Chai, and I was a Kelly Writers House summer intern last summer.
Jamie Lee is an instructor I've worked with in the past, and I've really admired her ability to kind of build a classroom community, and that was something I thought I could really learn from her working closely in this program. And on top of that, the financial aid was so generous. Like the idea of bringing in diverse folks rather than just the people that can afford to pay for it was something I was also really excited about.
I've always wanted to I don't know, I've always liked teaching kids and stuff, and I've loved creative writing for my entire life. So I thought this was kind of a natural fit. And I had also worked with Jamie Lee specifically, during the school year. I work for her at the Writers House in terms of recruitment. And I love working with Jamie Lee. So I don't know, it seemed like just like a thing that I would really enjoy, and I did end up enjoying it. So that was good.
I'd actually done the summer workshop when I was a high school senior, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, why not apply for it and sort of do some of the behind the scenes work and to make it a great experience for other high schools.
Being a leader of a memoir workshop, I think the first time that I did that, it felt very intimidating. But more and more, it's just felt so. It's been a really cool practice in learning how to build community and how to be vulnerable with people. Um, I'm always impressed by what these very smart young people are are sharing and how they're sharing it and how they're discussing it with one another. And to be a kind of guiding hand and all that is, I think, is a really cool privilege that I get to have.
I would say probably the best part of the summer workshop was the kids themselves. It kind of made me feel old because they had slang that I didn't know. But just seeing them being very excited about writing and helping them improve their writing, because we did a bunch of editing for them, and people would send me their stuff and I'd be like, oh, this is interesting, and I don't know, making some really good relationships with the young writers was really great. And I still text some of the kids from my workshop, some who are going to Penn and some who aren't. So
Definitely meeting all of the workshoppers, but also the workshop part itself, because that was where we kind of got to see everyone's stories and what they were thinking and how they sort of saw themselves and their lives, and that was really great.
Kind of being a multi-year vet of this, there's every group's kind of had their own moment that was like this coalescing of great things coming together. But I think one that really stands out, I guess, is um, I, I remember the very first year, one of the participants in my memoir workshop wrote something that it was very hot. There was a lot of emotion in it. And I remember it was I was seeing that it was upsetting other folks, it was just really eliciting this emotional, visceral reaction from people. And just thinking okay, I'm the moderator. I have to do something because this is not what's supposed to be happening. Um, and I think just no one really knew what to do with it. And I remember being there and being okay, I have to do my job now, and just kind of taking a moment to check in with that person and with everybody and just saying this is hard, and that's part of this. And I think there are those moments where you break from the routine of like a workshop, where you kind of acknowledge that what you're doing is hard and complicated and emotional, that really make people sigh in relief. You know, it's like, oh right, yeah, we're people and not just drafts, or machines that produce drafts. You know.
There's a lot of moments that I still remember and sometimes think about. I think the one that first came to mind was we were most people had left, most people had been picked up by their parents, and there was like 3 or 4 people who were going back on the train. So me, Iwe, who's the fellow intern, um, and like 3 of the students all went to the train station, and they all had trains leaving at different times. So we were just sort of waited around and chatted with them, and had fun. And I think that that was the moment where I kind of put together in my head, I realized like what this meant for those kids, as like a lasting experience, because they were talking about how they wanted to stay in touch, and like we walked through a lot of like the interesting things that had happened, but it was definitely forward focused with like thinking about all the friends they made and will continue to talk to, and I thought that was really nice.
There was this one evening where the official activities for the workshop had finished for the day, and I was kind of just hanging out around the writer's house, and I went upstairs and I found that all of the kids had kind of congregated together in the library of the writer's house, and they were just like holding a music session, and I thought that was really fun.
So for sure, the workshop itself was the best part, but also like the most difficult, because like, I mean, we were working essentially from the break at dawn to like 9 or 10 at night every single day for like 10 days, because even like we would have all of the activities a day, and as the summer interns, we did a lot, like we did evening stuff also, and that was actually super fun. They got a kick out of the button maker. The button maker is one of the best things at the writer's house, but the fact that like when I went home, I then had to like do all of the editing also before I went to sleep. It was definitely a lot of hours in a short amount of time.
Probably the 10 or so days of the workshop itself, just because it was just very high energy and hands-on. And I enjoyed it, but it was also a challenge to kind of budget my, budget my energy to make sure that I didn't tire myself out.
I'm thinking of last year because it's the freshest, I suppose, but I know one student that I worked pretty closely with in workshop wrote this really tremendous essay, and we had a big discussion about it. And then like even after workshop, we talked about it. And then after the workshop was over, we kept emailing about it. And she recently informed me that she was like feeling good about it and submitted to the Scholastic Writing Awards for like the first time. And then she also won a silver key, which is like, that's a big deal. So that's one that I'm really proud of. And then like the other one is like that I have like all these people out there who are doing cool things that still email me and tell me that they're doing cool things, you know, like to be plugged into that network is awesome.
We built an escape room for them in our year, and they really enjoyed that. So that was something I really liked. And I still have the whole design to the escape room and all the stuff, but the writer's house gave it to me. I don't know if they're going to do it again, so we just have it now. There was one student who she's a fabulous writer, by the way, excellent writer, who like was working. I probably read, I think, all 3 of her pieces, but she was kind of shy and like a little introverted, and she like was making friends with like other relatively shy and introverted people, but she wasn't like, I don't know, as part of the larger group. And a lot of like in the evenings, people would hang out at the writer's house. That was something that happened, and she was hanging out at the writer's house fairly late. She was working on one of her things, and I was like, do you want me to look at that for you? Like, I can do it. That's like kind of what I'm here for. And I think being a relatively shy and nervous person, it was like she didn't think I had to do that, and she was like, wow, like I don't know, I don't want to make you do this. And I ended up, like, that was early on, and I ended up reading like pretty much all of her stuff and at least giving some kind of edits for all of her stuff.
Probably again, just sitting down with various students and talking through their essays with them and kind of getting what they wanted to say, and working on how to say it in the way that would be best.
From the summer workshop. So I got like a couple months ago, I got one of our readings. The very first line it's from Mary Carr's Lit, and it says, "Anyway, I tell the story is a lie." And I was like, well, that's really good. And like, that was when I was first introduced to that book, and like, it's now one of my favorite books, and I was like, I should get it on my skin. But I mean, outside of that, when I was first tapped by Jamie Lee to do this, I think more than anything, at first I wanted to be in a workshop with Jamie Lee again, because she's great, and I think she really kind of helped me out as a writer. And more than anything, I was like, I'll just try not to mess it up, you know, because she's got it. Like, she'll be great, and then like I'll just be this extra guy that's there, and I'll try not to break anything. But I think in the process of being there, I learned how much I enjoyed teaching and how much I enjoyed working with high school age people. And yeah, I think since then, teaching has kind of become this opposite side of my creativity. I think someone once said that like teaching and writing is kind of like talking and eating. It's like impossible to do both at the same time, but like you need to do one to do the other one. And that's kind of how I feel. And I kind of experience that doing this.
I'm definitely much more aware of how much effort and time and kind of just care goes into creating these sorts of arts programs. And I think that it's definitely very important for us to keep creating these kinds of spaces for young writers.
I'm going to say community as one. I'm going to say hope as one. As the last one, I'll say potential. Community, hope, and potential.
I'm going to go for bright, thoughtful, and lasting.
Probably swag bag shenanigans.